Hello and welcome back to Watching Worst Film, the weekly podcast where we journey through the winners and losers from the Golden Raspberries, an annual ceremony dedicated to the very worst that Hollywood and beyond has to offer. As always, I'm your host Kyle, joined by the wonderful Mr. Jericho Reed.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Saving Christmas with you.
And yes, as we journey back to 2014 to look at Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas. And again, just for some reference, the 87th Academy Award winner this year was Birdman, which is a film I have seen for a change. I'm getting into this point where I've seen more Razzies than Academy Award winners, and I'm not liking it.
Concerning.
Very concerning. So, yes, we travel back to 2014 to look at Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas. It's directed by, I think I'm pronouncing this right, it is Duane? I think his last name is. He was the director of a previous film with Kirk Cameron called Unstoppable from 2013, so they're kind of reuniting.
That was a documentary, wasn't it?
Was it? Okay, sorry. I seen the credit, I seen Kirk Cameron, and I filled in the blanks in my head. Yeah, it's directed by this Darren Duane, who also wrote and co-stars in it alongside Kirk Cameron.
Oh, God.
So as always, what is your background with this film, Jericho?
None of it. Now, when I'd read a little bit more and I'd heard about it being ranked the lowest film on IMDb at one point, I don't know if I'd maybe heard of it through that, but I certainly hadn't formed any memories, so I went in relatively blind. I didn't really know much about Kirk Cameron beyond him being like an evangelical, of the sort of like conservative actors bucket that we've got with Lawrence Fox, Kevin Sorbo, James Woods. Kirk Cameron I knew was the sort of like evangelical Ken doll one of them.
Well, like, I'm a little bit different because I do know who Kirk Cameron is. Not a big follower by any means, but especially when this film came out, I vividly remember the backlash, it being bottom of Rotten Tomatoes, Letterboxd, everything. I remember his campaign against Reddit. I have a vivid memory of him. I've never seen the film, but I knew a lot about it, or Kirk Cameron himself. I kind of have this thing where I have a morbid curiosity about child actors growing up. I adore Corey Feldman. So like Kirk Cameron and Corey Feldman, it all kind of goes together. I will be honest, for years when I was younger, I thought Kirk Cameron was John Stamos. There's an actor from a sitcom in the 80s, probably finds Christ, might make a movie, might make a Beach Boys album.
It's funny because my connection with him was he vaguely reminded me of Rob Lowe from certain angles, and I just couldn't help but see like Chris Traeger from Parks and Rec if you'd found God. So you've got the Rob Lowe, John Stamos connection there.
100%. I mean, and you're right there. I didn't really get, when we were watching this film, you said he looked like, gave you Neil Patrick Harris vibes.
He did, yeah.
I can see Neil Patrick Harris and Rob Lowe, merge them, take away the personality, and you've got Kirk Cameron. For the record as well, I've never seen Growing Pains, just like I've never seen Full House, these family sitcoms from the 80s.
That was going to be
no interest.
That was going to be my question, was, did you know Kirk Cameron pre him finding God? Like, have you seen him before he emerged from the Christ cocoon?
Not at all. I remember him being on talk shows or reality shows, talking about finding God and then leaving the show and not speaking to his co-stars or calling them blasphemous or whatever he did. But I have no interest in watching Growing Pains. Like, it's that weird subgenre of family sitcoms, especially American ones, that just no interest for me. So yeah, not really anything. And again, if I did know him, I would have been confusing him with someone else. I have known him post Finding Christ though, because I'm semi-aware because I've seen the first Left Behind film.
Yeah.
So I've seen him before, but it's been a long time. And again, I thought that was John Stamos that starred in that. So mixes up a little bit. Yeah. But anyway, so here we are in 2014, getting ready to save Christmas. And do you want to lead us in?
So we watched this film. I pirated it. after we got there eventually, after I had accidentally pirated another film called Saving Christmas, which was from 2017. And you watched what? Half an hour of that one?
I watched the whole fucking... I missed the last 5 minutes. So for this session, I have watched 2 Saving Christmases. And so this is also why I'm going to get you to run through this film as well, because I'm going to be speaking about the wrestling that wasn't in it and the time, Santa and Ed Asner hung out and all this. So yeah, we did start watching this. We probably got in a couple of minutes. Quickly, well, I'm ashamed to admit it took me longer to notice it wasn't Kirk Cameron's Christmas. It was, even as the cast was rolling in, I was Ed Asner and I was like, oh yeah, maybe he worked with Kirk Cameron back in, I just didn't think it would click. So yes, we had to get this through less than legal means. I don't even know where it's available, so I couldn't even tell you. DM Kirk Cameron yourself if you want a copy. It's not easy to find though.
I think it used to be on some things but got taken down. I think I read somewhere that it was on Hulu at one point before getting removed from there.
And well, that's it. And that's kind of linking into the previous documentary I was reading, Unstoppable. He got pulled from YouTube and various other platforms just because of the backlash and the critical reception it received. So I assume there's something very similar going on with Saving Christmas, is that it's fuck it, no one can see it but pure Christians.
People aren't ready for it, Kyle. They're not ready.
Yeah. order through the way of the master DVDs or whatever his ministry is called.
Okay, do you have the financial information for this film? Because I feel that's something relevant to run through.
So I have 2 sources here that tell me differently.
Oh, okay.
So Wikipedia goes with a $500,000 budget.
Yeah.
And gross returns of $2.8 million. So I'm assuming that's its theatrical run.
Yeah.
This is close. However, with reruns, which Kirk Cameron's counting, and I assume DVD sales, he's put that number up to $8 million.
Wow.
So it's, by some accounts, relatively successful. I mean, even $2.8 million on no budget really, with no advertising.
There's some Black Adam accounting going on, but even if you take the most conservative estimates, he is wiping the floor with Jenny McCarthy. Like, there is no dirty love, no dirty love going on here. Like, this is how you do it, my friend.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was thinking. It's like, not only did it smash its theatrical run in comparison, but this is exactly the type of film that will have made $6 million on DVD or something, because there's always going to be conservative Christians out there in America that'll buy this for $1.
There you go. It's the evangelical market. Like, they've won elections. They're not going to let you down. They're apparently more reliable than the horny teenage boy audience. So that's the lesson we've learned from these past 2 episodes.
A very rare success, I would say. If it wasn't for such the, and this is by far the lowest rated, or the lowest received critically of everything we've watched. I mean, there's not one positive. It's 0 across the board. 0, 0, 0. So if it didn't have that infamy attached to it, I think Kirk could chalk this up as a success.
Should we start off with the production companies?
Yes.
So it comes up, all the usual...
Well, we made a joke because when we watched the first Saving Christmas and all these no-name, non-existent companies flashed up, and I made an off joke about it. Can't wait to see what these guys have got up. But when we were watching this film, what turns up when the producer logos is Samuel Goldwyn Films, which threw me off right away.
He's dead, isn't
because,
he?
But I was expecting Cameron Goldwyn Films presents, or a Kirk film production. But I did. As we looked at it, it is Samuel Goldwyn Jr., the son.
Yeah.
So I'm not. Who also does a lot of Christian Christmas. Basically.
He's not a complete fail son, though. He's produced some legit things. I want to say produced a Best Picture winner, produced Secret Life of Walter Mitty. You looked at it and there's a lot of tat there, including that Kevin Smith fan film, Shooting Clerks. But if you look at the list of Sammy Goldwyn Jr. films, there are a lot of heavy hitters in there. So he's not a complete non-entity.
Okay. And because I did have a look through them, and there is a lot. Most of them as well, similar to this one, are co-produced as well.
Yeah.
With a million destination
He's
films.
not MGM, but I'm in talks with this guy, Kyle. He might be making the Jetsons film, so let's be a little bit kinder to old Samuel Goldwyn Jr. I'm sure his dad is very proud of what he's achieved in the industry.
Okay, no. They were also responsible for shooting Clerks, one of your favorites. So, yeah.
Well, in the interest
I
of
want
not
you to
punching
retract
down,
everything.
I'm not going to say anything about shooting Clerks. But so
Anyway.
we start off with Samuel Goldwyn Jr. films. The other thing we get is a title card saying Liberty University training champions for Christ since 1971. And
Yes,
like the idea that this might be a student film, and worse than that, a Christian student film, that sort of permeates the film, because there are lots of moments in this where it's very ropey on a technical level, and it seems like it's being filmed by the Kirk Cameron Film School.
100%, 100%. So the film opens as well. I'll pick this little bit. It opens on a Kirk Cameron roasting by a 80-yard fireplace next to an oversized Christmas tree, drinking out of an empty mug of hot chocolate.
Oh, that's a philosophical question. Like, if a mug is empty, can it be a mug of hot chocolate?
There's nothing in this mug behind me. This Poland mug that this guy's holding, there's nothing in it. It's all lies. Which is this, I call it the Bondian cold opening for this film.
Yeah.
But basically he addresses the audience, breaks the fourth wall, talks about how the holidays are being taken, and...
Well, no. Let's start with the first actual line, which is, I love Christmas.
Oh, you've got lines, good.
I love Christmas. I love everything about Christmas. I love lamps.
Wait,
I love trees. I love mugs. I love presents. I love chestnuts.
That's why I made that joke, because he twice mentions he loves hot chocolate.
Yeah.
It's one of his list, and then at the end, nothing like a good hot chocolate. And visibly holds the mug up to his face to see that there's nothing in it. Like, it's insane.
So he does start with the positive case about how much he loves Christmas. And it's only after he's made it clear that not only does he love Christmas, but every right-thinking, sane American loves Christmas. He lets us all in on the gang. It's like, and you, viewer, I know you love Christmas. Mm-hmm. We love Christmas. We all love Christmas. Listen, you're here because you love Christmas. But there are some wet blankets out there who, can you believe this? They don't want us to love Christmas. They don't like Christmas. They want us to be ashamed of Christmas. And this was quite funny to me, the unintentional irony of an evangelical homophobe being like, they want us to be ashamed of Christmas. They say our love of Christmas is unnatural. They say keep it behind closed doors. They say do it in private. We don't want to see it. Don't put it out in the public for my kids to see. They don't want us to have a Christmas parade. Can you imagine that? That isn't right, okay?
So I also want to point out as well, this is a record in our Razzie run for you saying you hate a film. The quickest. It's got to be the quickest. Because we were in the cold opening, and you told me you hated this, and this isn't the Jericho I'm used to. I'm used to the Jericho that's, John Asher might have a directorial trick up his sleeve, and the cinematography could be... This is the quickest. You turned on this probably quicker than Mike Lindell.
Keep my director's name out your fucking mouth, because me and John Asher are friends. We're going to be exchanging DMs on Instagram, so don't you dare. If I was in the same room with you, you would be getting a slap, Kyle. But for even daring to compare John Asher to this pile of crap, John Asher with like Darren, Dwayne, Dwight, whatever the fuck this idiot's name is. Let's not. I can't keep it bottled up any longer. I hated this film. I know we went into it being like, it's 79 minutes long. How bad can it possibly be? This is going to be great. I mean, part of it might be that I expect this to be funnier and easier to laugh at than it actually was. I expected like evangelical Die Hard or evangelical Home Alone, where Kirk's sort of fighting off the infidels who are trying to take the Christ out of Christmas. But I think the reason I hated this so viscerally, it might be like, I don't know, there might be something going on with my past in that this is just pushing the buttons of like Sunday school, like when my parents would send me off to like church camp for a week in the summer, or like you had people like coming in, like we went to a secular school, but we got a lot of like preachers coming in and talking at us, and that just like really annoyed me. Like I was fine learning about, I was quite interested in religion, but as soon as it became like a sort of like, here's the facts, kid, as soon as you got that sort of high and mighty preachy angle, that really turned me off, and that's what this was right from the off. And so it pushed my buttons in all the worst way, and I really did not have a good time with this film.
And then, like, I understand that, and I agree for the most part. I had much more fun than you did watching.
Yeah, because you like all these Jesus freaks.
I just watched a film about Jesus freaks before it, so like I do think the bar was set very low. I think this was a missed opportunity. This would have been much more fun in person. I think, just even when we were chatting online while watching it, we would have riffed so much harder in person. I don't think so. On some level, yes, this was miserable. I would never recommend this to anyone, and we'll go through why. But on the other level, like, I did laugh. I laughed way more than I did in Dirty Love. If I was sitting by myself watching this, I would have been miserable. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, and although it's 79 minutes, 5 minutes is a cold open, 10 minutes are credits and gag reels. So, like, it's barely 50 odd minutes in total. Easy days.
Yeah, I wish I shared that, but as we said with Dirty Love, we were a third of the way through without even breaking a sweat. Whereas with this, I feel like we just left the cold open. I was like, surely we must now be a good 45 minutes into this 79-minute film. I was like, what? No, wait, we're not even.
That's one of my favourite parts as well. As we leave this cold open away from Kirk Cameron by the fireplace, we get our second titles. Starring Kirk Cameron. We get Cam Fam Studios, I think it was called.
Fan Cam Studios, Kirk Cameron fan cams. Send us your Kirk Cameron fan cams.
It's just the way it was done implied to me that Samuel Goldwyn only produced the first open 5 minutes. And now Cam Fam's taken over and we're in for a different film. Here we go. But that's not really the case, is it?
No, so yeah, let's talk a little bit about that title sequence where we do get that weird ska cover of Silent Night. It's really, really bizarre, and it's just, I don't know. It's that I'll have to retract this because I did like the closing credit song, but I was saying to you, like, what is it about Christian rock that just, as soon as a band becomes Christian, they just lose it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a strange person. I adore, like, Dylan's Christian trilogy. I like it when people find Christ. I think that you're always going to have something funny to me, but this is not that case. And I think really early on with the ska, I mean, so the previous Saving Christmas, and I'm going to try not to compare the two, had a lot of generic stock music or just covers of Oh Noel or Silent Night done by a teenage pop punk band or someone we can do cheap and royalty free. So the soundtrack wasn't glaring to me already. I was already annoyed. So, like, I've already experienced an hour and a half of this. This wasn't new yet. This wasn't the insanity yet. This wasn't anything different. This was a generic, we're going to get that Hallmark movie that you kind of expected. Or I expected. You expected way more than I did. So yeah, we get those credits, we get all the names, we're getting the cheap ska pop punk, but it doesn't quite prepare you for what's going to happen, which is a Christmas party. Right? Yeah. We don't have any more scenes in between, do we? Yeah.
No, we go straight in. I think there's maybe like shots of like Bethlehem or something and a donkey while he does his little, stories are tricky things, especially ones that we've heard lots of times. But there's always virtue in hearing a story that you've heard. In fact, the greatest story ever told begins at a Christmas party. So yeah.
And it's his sister's. Not the real Kirk Cameron sister, because God no. It's his sister's house, and they're having an argument, aren't they, at the start, about her husband, his brother-in-law, and how, God, I need you to help me here. I'm trying to think, when does the wrestling come into it?
Well, this is just, I can't remember much about the party because the Bourne, like the Paul Greengrass-esque camera work just sort of shook shaking me around too much. All the thoughts rattled out of my head.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
This party is filmed like a war zone. Like it's all sort of like shaky handheld stuff, and not in the way that like it's an intentional like it's semi-intentional but also poorly done. And that was my first like okay, this is being done by students who just don't have any technical grounding. Because I can somewhat get the idea of like, oh hey, let's film this like domestic argument as if it's like Matt Damon fighting. Yeah. Like that's an interesting idea on paper, but once you've made more than one film, you realize that probably isn't going to work. So it was just. It wasn't good. So people are running around, people are having hot chocolate, and we've got this kind of like documentary GoPro, like,
which is represented in, because it's even at the Christmas party, it's the brother-in-law doesn't love Christmas. He's annoyed by it. He's in a huff. We cut to this guy, and one of the guys behind me in my picture. I can't even remember their name. There's two guys, and they're speaking with mugs over their mouths about conspiracy theories, and it's shit. It is really shit. It's weird as well.
That comes later. Not that it matters where it comes, but that's like the cutaway after Kirk's told us about the swaddling cloth.
Okay, see, I thought that was all in a car.
No, so we get the party. Kirk argues with his sister about like some crap. And then she's like, oh, like my husband, he's kind of moping around. And then Kirk goes to see what's happening with his brother-in-law. And I can't remember if he actually finds him in the car or if he finds him like sitting outside.
I think they go in the car to have a talk basically about why he's so depressed.
Exactly. I think he finds him just sort of sitting outside. And then he's like, hey, listen, mano, let's go and sit in the car and we'll talk things over. So Kirk wheedles out of him like, hey, my man, you've been...
Well, I like this bit though, because the brother-in-law is like, no, because I laughed. It was my first laugh. The brother-in-law is like, oh, you know, Christmas is a load of junk. It's a load of shit. You know, fucking the trees are from Samhain and pagan, and, you know, presents are, you know, it's heathen. It's wrong. It's all commercial. It's all wrong. We've just taken all these traditions, and it just feels so wrong and not the way God intended. Kirk sits there. They have a fist bump. Boom. Yeah. Kirk sits there, listens, and smiles nodly, and just is like, nah, you're fucking wrong, mate. You're wrong. And I'm going to tell you why you're a fucking moron.
Well, yeah, this...
a bit paraphrased, but that's basically what...
this is what I want to get into, because when he brings them into the car, they have their little speech about pretense and obligation. And the thing I liked was the brother says... and this is a trick that the film does a lot. Like, a lot of this film is voiceover, which... I don't know, makes me doubt my theory with absolute proof that I'd have enjoyed it more if we just sort of drifted off and saw random images of the things that the MyPillow guy was talking about.
Yeah. Because
this is just random images over Kirk monologuing. But the brother-in-law is like, you know, Christmas, like they've ruined it. It's not special. It's not sacred or holy. It's just perverted symbols with hidden meanings. And the image accompanying that is a candy cane. So, do you know, can you tell me what the perverted symbolism or the hidden meaning of a candy cane is?
I forgot. I actually missed that. I totally missed that bit. I don't know why. Did he give us the reason behind the candy cane?
No.
Did Kirk tell us?
No, Kirk didn't tell us that. That's still... that he's saving that for Saving Christmas too.
Fair point.
And then they have a big speech about Jesus being put in the corner during Christmas, how he's secondary. And my note for that is nobody puts Jesus in the corner. Because that's what Kirk sets himself, the sort of the manifesto, the goal of this film is Kirk taking Jesus out of the corner and putting him front and center where he deserves to be. And so
where he belongs.
That's what we get is kind of like an episodic thing where Kirk's brother-in-law, who honestly seems like he's on the brink of committing like a mass shooting or something, he basically tells Kirk about his like the nihilism that he's experiencing over the festive season. and Kirk sort of listens. There's lots of close-ups of Kirk hand on chin nodding and doing like again, like we said in the Absolute Proof episode, Mike Lindell does nothing. Mike Lindell is just like a brick wall when you're speaking to him. And I think I said I tend to go too much the other way, where I think I am way too much like Kirk Cameron, in that I'll be actively posing, stroking my chin, going like, oh, interesting. Ah, yeah, oh,
But
tell
that's
me
it.
more.
I feel the biggest difference is there. If Kirk Cameron was waving about a coffee mug and jittering, I'd have been, and cutting him off and fading him out, I'd have had a wonderful time.
Wow, so you're telling me that people are taking the Christ out of Christmas? How are they doing that? Are they using some kind of machine? Is there a machine that's extracting the symbolism from our candy canes and sending off to China?
And I think this entire scene where the brother-in-law is kind of talking about his losing of faith, I don't think Kirk blinks once. I'm convinced. Like, he is just hand on chin, nodding, smiling, unblinking, staring into his soul. He's just, like, I've seen people like Kirk where, you're just waiting to listen, just to go, you're fucking wrong. It's that false sincerity. I just hate it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the evangelical thing of, like, they think they're playing 4D chess because they'll be like, it's that sort of smugness of like, I'm gonna like nod politely, like as if I'm listening to what you have to say, but inside I know exactly what I'm going to respond with, because it's the same thing that I respond to everything with, which is like, interesting. Have you considered that you're wrong and that God says this? And so this is another very sort of episodic film. Thankfully, not too many episodes. Do you remember the first one, the swaddling cloth one? I
couldn't remember. I thought he was talking about snow globes. Oh no, wait, I do remember. It's because he was going on about the nativity scene inside a snow globe.
Yeah.
And Kirk Cameron tells him that the swaddling of baby Jesus in the nativity scene is parallel to Jesus on the cross, which is a recurring thing. And was it the cloth? Yeah, it was the cloth. The cloth that it was the shroud or whatever it was.
He just goes on and he speaks about birth and death being intertwined, and swaddling cloth being like Jesus is born in a bar and he's gonna die, and he's like, this baby came here to die and he redeemed all of us by dying, and the cave and the barn, and like, I don't know.
And what was that great line about the Romans? That not even the soldiers didn't get to kill the baby. What a shame, Kirk.
Doesn't get to kill the baby is one of the more interesting lines in this film.
I loved his segue from swaddling cloth to Jesus on a cross. If it rhymes, kind of, it's got to be true, right? And he's so smug as well when he says it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first one is about the nativity. Which was strange. We did get... Is this where we got the little cartoon as well? The little animated bit?
I can't remember.
I believe so. I'm going to say yes, because that's why I was convinced we were going to get a cartoon at the end.
Yeah.
It'd be full circle. But yeah, basically, he's like, swaddling cloths, Jesus on the cross, it's got to be true.
Yeah.
And,
have you never considered why the wise men brought frankincense and myrrh to the baby Jesus? Mm-hmm. They're burial spices. It's because they know he's going to die. And I was like, okay, well, giving your kids a present for its funeral, that's kind of fucked up. We should be asking more why they have a sick, twisted sense of humor. Why was these Joker types turning up being like, hey, listen, we brought a baby-sized coffin to your son's birth. You might never need it, but if you do need it, better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Am I right?
Well, that's it. Kirk Cameron doesn't think these are morbid jokesters. He thinks they're foreshadowing. But yeah, and then the brother-in-law, who's called Christian, I do remember it because he's a Christian who's not a very good Christian. And,
these are not the sharpest people that we're dealing with, are they? There's not much. Yeah.
It's what links us into the next segment, which is what I jumped on, is when he's talking about the Christmas tree.
Yeah, this is the war on Christmas. So we get the war on Christmas after we've done the swaddling cloth. It cuts back to DeAndre and the Polish
You did
guy.
not remember that name.
No, I did.
Surely not.
DeAndre, okay. I remember him because I was like, DeAndre is this film's Tyrone from My Son Hunter, where every conservative movie needs a black man who's just going to like spout off about like, I don't know, spout loads of conservative talking points, because you can tell they're all just like so over the moon about their one black friend that they want to share it with the world. Like, look, we aren't just a bunch of old white guys. Here, we've got a black friend. Listen to what DeAndre has to say. And so DeAndre's talking to the other, like,
Rafi's name is apparently
Rafi. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
They have their little.
I actually remember it when you made me listen to the rap at the end of the film. He does actually. I don't know if that's the name of the actor or the character, but I remember it.
DeAndre's talking to Rafi, and this is where they have their, what is almost like the closest the film comes to sparking into life for me. And I'm not just saying that because it's the premise of a short film that we made together, but they're having hushed, like, they're having the sort of like shining through spy conversation behind a newspaper where they're like, the cock crows at midnight, like, good, great, like, Merry Christmas to you. Like, they're having like a hushed conversation about the war on Christmas. We're like, you hear about that war on Christmas? They're trying to make me say happy holidays. I will never say happy holidays. They will never take the Christ out of Christmas. Like, I will die before I let them, like, before I let them make me celebrate Hanukkah. They just have that little weird paranoid conversation. And that was what really, like, it troubled me, because I was like, this suggests more self-awareness than I think Kirk Cameron has. Whereas, like, you do realize, like, that's what you guys sound like. Like, the way it was presented was like he was satirizing himself and their sort of paranoia. And I was like, is he... Because I was like, this isn't really ramped up. This is kind of what you guys normally sound like. And yet you're presenting it for laughs here when you very much aren't in the rest of the film. So that kind of threw me for a loop.
I agree with that. I mean, see, I'm a little bit different. Obviously, I thought of the short film we did together right away, and that was distracting for me. But this was my first warning sign. I know there's been lots of warning signs, but this was the first time I noticed this was filler. This was nothing to do with anything. This is not Kirk Cameron explaining Christmas to me or saving Christmas. This is filler. This is just padding to make this film over an hour. And I got really worried because, like, I was worried there's going to be way more of this and we weren't going to get the breakaway segments with Kirk. I didn't know Kirk was going to be sitting in a car for 40 minutes either, but I was very worried when we seen these guys, because I was, now we're going to go to the sister and now we're going to hear what she thinks of Muslims or something, you know, like, it's just going to get grim.
Yeah, them being in the car is another connection with My Son Hunter, because what I'm coming to realize is just every conservative movie, the basis of it is two men sitting in a car talking to each other for an hour, because that's what this film is. Christians in cars getting coffee. And yeah,
I'm gonna say for the record, of our 3 conservative Christian films we've watched, this is my favorite.
Oh my god, really?
This is absolutely my favorite.
This was my least favorite.
Over Absolute Proof.
Over like the 2 hours of Absolute Proof, yeah.
You'd watch Absolute Proof over Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas.
Honestly, yeah, Mike Lindell's a more charismatic guy than like I can't say no to Dr. Shiva. This just like this really rubbed me up the wrong way, and I know I said that Absolute Proof was like was a horrible experience, but that was just kind of because it bored me, whereas this actively annoyed me. So
very true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very true, but nah, you're wrong. You're wrong. I'm going to tell you why. See, it starts back in Genesis. Picture a cave, Jericho.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after we jump back into the car with Kirk and the director, we get to what the first like segment I was jumping on, which is the director complaining about Christmas trees and how they are pagan. I don't think he says Samhain specifically, but pagan, old. Solstice. I think he does talk about winter solstice.
Yeah.
And I jumped on it right away. I was like, it's going to be fucking crosses. Like, I was thinking like Kirk. I was trying to get in the Kirk mindset. And I was like, tree, wood, cross. There's my connection. Like, you know, swaddling cloth. It's all going to go back to the cross. So I was furious when it went back to Genesis. And Kirk Kirk explains to us that a bald Adam taking the the fruit of life or whatever the fuck from the tree. And it's the first tree. It's the very first tree from God. It's the tree of all the gifts, and that's why we hold it up.
Yeah, hang on. Let's just clarify here. So, bald Adam for the listeners. When the actor who they have playing Adam in the Garden of Eden is bald, and it's jarring because I've never seen a bald Adam before. So, in case you're not familiar with the tenets of Christian religion, bald Adam isn't a character. It's an Adam who is bald. But anyway, on you go. Sorry.
On I go. So, and I got really annoyed as well because I just thought I was wrong. And that's when Kirk starts going on about the crucifixion, and I think he goes on about death again as well. But no, he says literally, crucifix, it's a tree, held up Jesus, so we have to hold up baubles and tinsel, just like he died for our sins. I can't actually remember the right rational reason he made, but it was something like wood, tree, things. We worship it, we hold the cross up. And I was delighted that I got it right, because now I'm in the mindset of Kirk. Now everything's just going to be the cross. Now everything's going to be easy. It's going to be, it's going to be absolutely fun. I'm sure at this time as well, he does talk about the Nutcrackers doll, because Kirk Cameron has a giant 6-foot Nutcracker doll in his house, which really fucking distracted me for some reason, because maybe it's just because we're British and I don't think Nutcrackers are a thing as much over here. Maybe in the 30s. I don't know. I've never actually seen one. I've never seen one in my life. I know of them. I know it. I know what it is. But I've never actually seen a Nutcracker in a house. And he goes on about how the Nutcrackers are soldiers. I can't remember for what war. I could look up, but I can't be bothered. But basically, he's like, Nutcrackers, they represent soldiers from the Bible, and they protect us, so we put them up. Which makes sense why he placed it next to his tree. So the soldiers looking after the cross. I don't know. I have no idea. The analogy gets very messy, but I had fun at this part because now I'm thinking like Kirk. Now I'm getting into his mindset, and I knew all roads were leading to Santa. I knew Santa was going to be the problem for the director, and I couldn't wait to kind of see Kirk's explanation for it, which is the next segment, unless there's anything else in between that I've forgotten.
I have a couple notes, but first off, I just want to say I can tell that you're Kirk pilled. I can tell that you're inhabiting the mind of Kirk Cameron, because I'm getting very close to just turning off the Zoom call because I'm like, oh my god, no, I can see Kirk getting channeled through Kyle. It's like I'm hearing it again. I can see your enthusiasm for the metaphors and the interpretations coming across here, and it's repelling me. But
I've got an empty mug around here somewhere.
So his little line which summarizes his thinking is trees are unfinished crosses, because he's like, because Christ was crucified after Adam, original sin, Christ atoned for the sins of everyone by being crucified, and that means that no one else will have to get crucified. And so that's what he's saying, is like trees are now able to realize their potential as unfinished crosses. They won't be chopped down and made into crucifixes because Jesus died for us. And so just think of that next time you see a Christmas tree. I can't imagine anything worse than just looking around at Christmas trees, gathering around the Christmas tree with your family on like Christmas morning, seeing like the joy on like your loved ones' faces as they open gifts, and thinking like, yeah, I'm glad I don't have to get crucified. That's a weight off my mind.
I've also,
but apparently for Kirk, that gets him off. That's what he enjoys.
I also forgot, it's going back, it's the fucking great line of when God created the world, he filled it with trees. He brought them inside.
Yeah.
And you were like, what the fuck are you going on about, Kirk?
God said, let there be light, and he put the Christmas lights on his tree. And
trees first. Day one, trees, day two, the rest, the mountains and the animals, whatever. Gotta get those trees in there.
What was God's house made out of if he brought trees inside on the second day? This was where we're not licorice pizza pilled in this episode. We're Terrence Malick pilled, because he's my favorite Christian director. And so there were moments where there was like a close up of like the swaddling cloth, when I was like, oh, like like a sort of like shaky close up of something with light filtering in while voiceover going on, and I was like, oh, like a voice talking to me about Christianity. I was like, oh, wish I was watching Terrence Malick do this, because he's able to do it with some kind of like poetry, and he's able to make Christianity like appealing and universal to like someone who isn't Christian like me. And then there's a lot of references to the Tree of Life, and again, I can't hear that without being like, yeah, the Tree of Life. Wish I was watching that.
Where are the dinosaurs?
I wish I was watching The Birth of Compassion, as opposed to like a reminder that I don't have to be crucified thanks to Jesus taking one for the team. But yeah, and maybe we'll say this now. I'd been advised by a friend of the show, Marnie, to like not do anything too controversial, which is like, yeah, remember, you want people to be listening to this podcast and liking it, so try your best not to alienate like large swathes of potential listeners. But forget that.
Fuck 30% of the global population.
Evangelical Christians, I cannot. If this is the kind of bullshit that you like, I'm sorry, but this is clearly not the podcast for you, because I cannot stand it. I hated this so much, and just like Kirk Cameron in this, he perfectly replicates the experience of like a youth pastor speaking to you. Like, we just got endless influxes of them coming into our school and speaking at us.
Just minus the yo-yos, really, to be honest.
And
you know,
my brother, I think my brother was he was probably at primary school. I think my brother was probably around 12 when he had the experience with like Chris, one of the cool guy ones who was like from Canada and wore a baseball cap, and he like sidled up to my brother while he was playing football and was like, my brother was in goals, he was a goalkeeper. And Chris was like kind of like leaning up against the goalpost trying to talk to him, be like, oh, like goaltender, eh? Like, you know who else likes saving? The Lord. And my brother was like, can you leave me alone? I'm trying to concentrate. And that was the best rebuttal to any of them that I had ever. I'd left school by this point in time, but I was like, oh my God, you genius. You don't have to like say anything offensive to them, or you don't have to like shout at them or snap. You can just say, please leave me alone. And so this film depriving me of the opportunity to say, Kirk Cameron, please leave me alone. I'm not interested. I want to turn this off. This was a really difficult experience for me, and I did not have a good time with this film. But anyway,
I'm not just thinking it. Like, I don't have the lack of any religious upbringing. I don't have any religious upbringing. I don't have any evangelical experiences that would put me off. I'm fascinated as well by these kind of, especially conversions, because the righteousness, the pompous arrogance, the smugness, there's something, I don't know, it's almost like punishing almost, but I find it funny. I find it really funny. I really like a washed up child actor from the 80s sitting there with plastic surgery with an empty mug explaining to me where trees came from. I think this is what I want to see more than dirty love, I'm afraid. Yeah, sorry, we're on the opposite ends.
This might
today.
be the end of the podcast, to be honest with you. We're gonna splinter off, and I'm gonna start a podcast with John Asher, and you can go off and have like do Christian talk radio with Kirk Cameron. But anyway,
featuring Pia Zadora.
Anyway, to try and reconcile us, I'll reach out to you with the olive branch of the quote from this film, which Kirk says, "I'm glad my sister married you. This is awesome." And then we get back on track with Santa.
The main event. If this didn't win you over, then you're soulless.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Christian's objection is like, you know what? Like, okay, you've convinced me that the nativity scene, cool. You've convinced me trees that they are rooted in Christianity. They're not a pagan hedonist symbol.
Yeah.
But what does a jolly fat guy, have to do with Jesus? And
no, well, because I like it. I like when he sets it up. The director sets it up with it's not even paraphrasing that badly. He is literally a Santa. You know, sounds a lot like Satan. It's an anagram. You know, you can't just anagram of things. What does that mean, Kirk? You know, explain your way out of that one. You know,
and while we're at it,
what a coincidence!
God and dog. That's a bit fishy, isn't it?
And then we get the best segment of the whole film, and it did worry me a lot because my expectations are going high.
Okay,
But
okay,
Kirk
wait.
sees us in.
Let me just introduce this with how Kirk introduces it, because he has a quote here.
Okay, yes.
Before we go off into the fantasy scene, before we spiral off into the visuals that accompany this, Kirk begins it by saying, "Yeah, the real Santa was a bad dude."
Yes. So that, I have that. Don't worry, I wasn't going to miss that. Genuinely, again, so I think I've been laughing at this film most of the way through here. I laughed out loud at this point. My girlfriend looked at me when I laughed out loud, and I can't explain it because I'm watching a 2014 Christmas movie where he's quoting Joe Biden and Kurt Cornpop, and I lost it. I wasn't even prepared for where we were going because, like I say, I was ready for disappointment when the scene seeks, but I actually laughed, which is more than we've done in so many films. This is what I want in a Razzie film. I want to laugh at the film.
Yeah.
And I did.
I'm glad. Come on, man. We got Santa out here. He's doing the killing the infidels, jacking the proselytizing, and come on, man. Satan brought me a present. Of course, back in the day, it's bringing a coal under the tree, man.
So anyway, yes. After this line, we leap back to 325 AD. I think he says. I could be wrong, and it's to set up Saint Nicholas, who does tell us he's a bad dude. He's a bad guy, bad in a good way. I think he says as well. But yeah, how he's a violent sociopath who beats the shit out of any other Christian who disagrees or disbelieves what he thinks, Well, I love it.
We need to sort of describe the visuals here because nobody should watch this film. Like, do not watch this film. Don't be. I know you might be like, I'm interested in seeing what these guys are. Don't. Please don't.
No.
But
listen, watch it.
It is a key part of appreciating it. This sort of like tackiness and the cheapness of it. Santa is kind of dressed a bit like a biker, like fourth century.
I thought Viking. That was my initial reaction.
Yeah, but he's got kind of leather, doesn't he? Like he's got like leather
he does have
motorcycle
leather.
boots. He's
but Vikings have leather, not the same way.
I was waiting for George Thorogood to start playing as you get like bad to the bone Santa walking into a bar and be like, "Hey, is there anyone here that doesn't believe in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ?"
Well, it's because Kirk Cameron sets this up by telling us that there's a council meeting to establish making Jesus official as our Lord and Savior, and it's set in Turkey, and Saint Nicholas is coming to this council, and he's wading through the fields of snow through Turkey, famous, and when you see him, he's holding a shepherd's pole as well.
Yeah, a crook.
And a crook, sorry. I immediately thought of Sean Bean in Game of Thrones. He's got that fur, kind of leather, heavy coat on. He's got a bad wig on. Yeah. He looks fantastic. He looks. Yeah. I think Vikings. I'm still going with Vikings.
Yeah.
We'll post it on Twitter. You can vote. Terminator or Viking. But anyway, he arrives at the council and they're all talking, like muttering to themselves, and he's got this ominous kind of presence. He comes into frame, which is the music swelling, and then he sits down.
The day I was born, the nurses all got around. The gays and
but I don't remember Arnie just sitting down with a biker and having a chat and discussing it. And so my heart sunk here because he was a violent dude, but Kirk's not going to show us the violence. Obviously not. But no.
What's the actual line? It's something like he persuaded him with his words. And then he persuaded him with his fist or something. So yeah, he has a reasonable debate with the guy about it really makes me sad that you don't honor our Lord and Savior. And you're like, typical Christian nonsense, limp Christian nonsense. Even the chance to give us Santa John Wick, as you called him, has been taken away from us. And then it just flips and he socks the guy in the cheek. And this is another great thing. It properly encapsulates 2014 because the dubstep starts playing. And it's like, wah, bah, 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 and Santa is just
taking out motherfuckers left and right.
We get dubstep Terminator Santa just wreaking havoc.
And then Kirk tells us that although the council stripped him of any of his titles, and Bishop, the people loved him. He was a people's champion.
Everyone wanted a piece of him, is what we get before a very weird scene with the girl, like the anachronistic girl who you're like,
oh yeah. So Santa comes in after his ass kicking, and his wife, or sister, friend, turns around and she says, "Oh, look who it is!" Like she's fucking in Emmerdale or something, And I was like, "Oh yeah, famous 325 dialogue, isn't it, from AD?" Like Jesus Christ. And that's when Kirk tells us that he was beloved. He became a saint, Saint Nick. Not Saint Nicholas, Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And I think that's all, though. I think that's enough to turn Christian completely around, isn't it? Because it ends with the line,
"I've got the big fat guy."
Yeah.
He's the
Santa is the man.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, fuck yeah, he kicks ass. I wish I could kick ass.
Yeah. The fantasy
like,
of every sort of like, I don't know, repressed evangelical American is just like, you know what, I too would like to kill people who argued with me.
And once we get to this point, though, and this is how our perceptions of the film changed for both of us, because Kirk's like, time to get out the car. We have to go back inside.
Yeah.
And you fucking lit up. You were so excited.
Yeah.
Whereas I was, no, because now the film's over and we've got 30 minutes left and there's no stories. I'm terrified now. Like, what's going to happen next? And that's when I was saying to you, was it going to be, I was like, gag reel, I was like, musical number, and another cartoon. This is my guess. This is how they're going to fill out the last 25 minutes of this fucking movie. And half right, well, close right. They go back inside, and Christian, overjoyed now, he's got the spirit of Santa. He's got the spirit of the swaddling cloth inside him. He can feel the trees. Yeah. He's ready to go.
This is his moment.
Yes, and he goes up to his wife and he says, "I'm so sorry. You deserve so much better." I can't remember. He's got something like, "I've got a present for you" or something, and his wife's like, "Oh, what's Big Papa got?" No.
We've missed the final lesson. So he's had a heart-to-heart with his brother-in-law. His brother-in-law has convinced him that there is value in Christmas and there is value in life, and that maybe he should take the suicide vest off because there is meaning in life after all.
Tree.
And so Christian goes inside ready to ready to follow his role model Santa and to beat down the unbelievers and to share the love with the devout followers. And he opens the door wide in a sort of Aragorn from Two Towers moment. The party's still going on in full flow, and he runs ready, he's like, "Yeah, Christmas, woo!" And then he sort of Klinsman dives across the floor, face plants, and just slides. And he's lying, just kind of a bit defeated. And that's where Kirk comes down to him and is like, "You have one final lesson to learn, my friend.
Yeah.
And you need to be low enough to see it. Look up and see the presents laid below the unfinished crucifix. They make a skyline.
Well,
they're the buildings."
Because this pissed I forgot about this because this pissed me off because
you didn't like that.
Yeah, he's lying down, he's looking up, Kirk's explaining to him about how the presents represent Jerusalem, present from God, I think, and how they all kind of look like buildings if you squint your eyes. There's a little cartoon drawing animation over it to kind of symbolize that this is meant to be buildings. And then it pans up to, all the presents are under the tree. And then Kirk tells us that the tree is there because God puts presents under the tree, like fruit and roots or whatever, tree of life. And that's bullshit. It pissed me off because you just explained to me how it was a cross. And I just sat in a car with you for 20 minutes. How you told me it's a fucking cross and Kyle, now it's a present from God.
If you're gonna get on board with these evangelicals, if you're gonna reinvent yourself as a Bible basher, you need to be on board with the idea of multiplicity, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, one thing being multiple things.
One truth. There's one truth, Gareth. And I believed you, Kirk. And that's when he links to him speaking to his wife and apologizing. That's when we get the Big Papa moment, freeze frame,
And
Kirk
Kirk's
Cameron's
like,
voiceover.
what would normally happen at this moment in a regular movie, what would happen in this moment of simmering sexual tension between a man and his 4 foot tall wife? And he's like, they'd probably kiss, wouldn't they? Well, I got news for you. This ain't that kind of picture.
And what did we get instead then, Jericho? What was your prediction and what was the reality?
I honestly can't remember. They're probably saying, I love God. Do you love God too? We love God.
When it was it wasn't this kind of movie, I have your response as full penetration.
Yeah.
And instead we get a fucking dance number. So I was excited.
What?
I was
Oh,
right.
that's what we go straight into. We go straight into the dance number. Okay.
Yeah, because that's what he said. That's what he says. He's like, oh, what I have is
Yeah, and then we get the Bollywood ending where everyone dances around.
But this is it. They dancing around, looking at there's 10 minutes to go as well. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? It is, I don't even remember. Was it Hark, Hear the Angels Sing? I can't even remember what the fucking song was. But it was hip hop. It was auto-tuned. They break dance. Kirk Cameron does the worm.
I mean,
there's a fat kid who doesn't give a shit and is awkwardly looking around.
I just want to say that the dancers seemed like students. It was a very obvious, like, Liberty University's dance program got brought in so late to do like a choreographed number at the end.
Well, 100%, because I was thinking this while watching it. I was like, where the fuck were these 30 kids and the rest of the party?
They just got
Did they
wheeled
sneak in when they were while they were in the car? How long were we out there for? So yeah, there's a lot of kids here as well, and a lot of diversity as well. A lot of I'm not a racist from Kirk. Look how multicultural
Could
that
a
I am.
racist like hip hop? I think not. But
Hot chocolate and hip hop.
Yeah, that's
one bad dude.
That's where I was like, this is the fate befallen Kanye, because there's just like an auto-tuned voice going, uh-oh, here come the angels, over and over and over. And I was like, he's already basically there. Like, he just needs to, like, hit rock bottom with his deranged anti-Semitic ramblings. And once he's alienated absolutely everyone and is completely bankrupt, then Kirk Cameron, Christ-like, will offer him the hand of friendship to be like, Kanye, I would like you to come and do one line of...
No. I think we're one...
next film.
I think we're one Donda away from Kanye West saving Christmas. I think he's just one Twitter suspension away.
Yeah. So it's a painful scene, but at least it does give me one of the highlights of the film is when it is over, there is an old Asian man sitting on a couch drinking hot chocolate, who's just kind of like, woo, that sure was something, wasn't it?
What a fucking ride, wasn't it?
Yeah. Again, someone who we haven't seen at any point in the film so far. They all dance out, and he's just kind of like, ooh-ee.
For a second, I thought it was I thought I was meant to recognize him. This is a...
What, you thought that was like James Bond or something? Just like some famous Chinese character actor.
He might have been in growing pains, I don't know. But then after this as well, so this is it. We've got the breakdancing, we have old Asian man on a couch, and then we go to the dinner scene, which is weird. All the guests have fucked off now. It's just Kirk and his close family, I guess. Very strange, I point out, because they're having their ice cream with their turkey, which is not very Christian of them. And Kirk's going on about how we should buy as much as we can. We should consume, because, God made himself material, so we should probably just have as much material stuff as we want,
Yeah.
He doesn't say anything else about the Bible. There's nothing else in the Bible about being rich. No. Everyone goes to heaven if you're rich.
Yeah.
God loves it.
I was kind of checked out by this point in time, but that was like a final like spit in the face. Was there like, now I know that we might have misled you with all this like preceding hour of like spiritual conversation. You might be thinking, is consumerism wrong? Should I maybe be doing something like spiritual, and should I be helping my fellow man at this time of year? Should I volunteer at a soup kitchen, or should we forgo like worldly possessions and the pursuit of material baubles. And Kirk Cameron's like, no, absolutely buy crap. God wants you to buy that PS5. God wants you to buy like that Funko Pop of like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Go for it.
Yeah, well,
you're sinning if you don't.
This is his last act of annoyance for me. So yeah, you buy as much shit as you want, buy the presents, surround yourself, pile on the hot chocolate, which fucking pissed me off because A, there's no hot chocolate in that mug, and B, you can't pile hot chocolate. So fuck you, Kurt. You lost me. You know, you had me in the palm of your hands, and you've lost me. But yeah, then he's like, have the best dinner because you're celebrating God. Spend time with people. Convert them if you can. See it. And then we have a gag reel. We have credits. And we have a post-credit scene.
I want to say there's never been a less funny gag reel.
That's the fucking worst gag reel I've ever seen. And it's not even flubbing lines. It's almost like just rehearsing.
Yeah, it's
not
just
even
like
outtakes.
Isn't the concept of direction kind of funny? Like, ha ha ha, I'm gonna like, what if like you did a take and then I like gave you feedback to do it but like a little bit louder? Wouldn't that be kind of funny? Isn't this so humanizing? A look at the creative process. Like, you're never gonna believe like a star like DeAndre might not have like nailed it on his first take. It's just, yeah, it's not good. And then you thought you'd escaped with the post-credit scene because you were...
Well, 5 minutes to go, I was like, I've got to take my dog out. I've got things to do. There's nothing going to be happening. I've seen the gag reel.
Yeah.
I've seen the dance number. If you can tell me if there's a cartoon. But no, you told me I had to watch the last 2 minutes.
Well, at first I was like, it's a continuation of the War on Christmas thing, where it's just those two fucks talking some more. And I was like, this? Seriously, this? You couldn't even give me a cameo? You couldn't get me, like, Kevin Sorbo as the Easter Bunny? Or you couldn't get, like, James Woods coming in being like, Kirk, great job saving Christmas, but, like, I have bad news for you. Like, turns out, like, Good Friday is under attack. We need you. But we just get those two, like a continuation of a not very good or funny scene, but then it kind of redeems itself when we get perhaps the worst freestyle rap in cinema credit history, which I don't know, I thought I'd seen that with the movie Dash Cam. Do you know that one?
I've not. What's that? I have no idea.
Movie Dash Cam is by the people who made Host, that pandemic horror movie. And Dashcam is about an anti-vax conservative rapper who comes to the UK and gets killed by a demonic being. And she does a freestyle rap where she raps all the names of the people in the credits. Like, Jason Blum, did you mean come? Yeah. Director, I'm going to direct you to suck my nuts. Guts, well, cinematographer, you... And that was so bad. I was like, "Pooey, this is unpleasant." But Saving Christmas gives it a run for its money, where it's not good.
I mean, it's possibly the worst freestyle I've ever heard in my life. The only
Kirk Cameron.
Slight consideration I give is
Cameron.
Yeah, he's not a Mormon. Was the director you can hear say do a beatbox, when they're rehearsing. So it is put on the spot. I mean, if Kirk Cameron came up to me right now and said beatbox and freestyle for me, I don't think I'm going to shit out anything better. I think it's going to be the same quality. I don't have a camera pointed in my face either.
Well, so, you do because we're a webcam.
Well, I do.
Yeah.
I mean, yes. Yeah, Kirk Cameron. No.
It's really not good. DeAndre is a good beatboxer in his fairness, but the rapping of, I can't even remember any rhymes. In his fairness, there's nothing like cringeworthily bad.
No, it's
just the awkwardness of
yo, let's go this way. We're gonna celebrate Christmas every day.
Yeah, exactly. My name is DeAndre, and I'm here to say that we'll be wrapping around Christmas in the coolest way. It is just that kind of Christian rap of just like inoffensive and cringeworthy, but not flat out fall on your face bad. And so thus concludes
And
the
so
film.
brings us, yeah. So I think we'll move a little bit quicker because I don't have as much to say here. But how do you fix Saving Christmas, Jericho? What's the smallest change you can make to save Christmas?
Honestly, I don't know. Like I said, give me the film that I want, which is like the biggest change you could possibly make of give me a fundamentally different film. But if you give me like Kirk Cameron is having like, here's my pitch. Kirk Cameron is having like a good family Christmas, and then like his next door neighbor Mohammed moves in and is like, actually, Kirk, I'm gonna need you not to like have a turkey this year because that's an offense to my religion. And then reverse Die Hard, it's kind of like Home Alone where Kirk has to like fortify the house against like the legion of infidels who are coming to take Christmas away from him. They're going to steal his turkey, they're going to burn down his tree, and he has to fight them off. And it's like a nice sort of like family thing where like his wife and his kids, they also learn the true meaning of Christmas, which is killing people who think a different way to you. So that's my like, I wasn't anticipating him saving Christmas from an existential threat, like the idea of a Christian who no longer believes. I wasn't really prepared for that kind of introspective thing. I wanted more of a flashy bang, like no, people are actually physically trying to steal Christmas.
So yeah, you would make an entirely different movie.
Okay, small change. You have Joe Biden in it. You have Joe Biden just being like, come on, man, Santa's a bad dude, man. We're talking about saving Christmas, inshallah. We're going to put the red, white, and blue, man. In the White House, we celebrate Christmas every day, man.
My fix is easy. I mean, it's a perfect film. There's not much you need to change around here. I've got five words for you.
Go ahead.
Kirk Cameron in every role. Sorted. Done. Give me more Kirk. It's my biggest problem with the film. Kirk's not in it. His voice is in it a lot. He sits in a car, but I was expecting him to be in these flashbacks. He'd be playing Jesus. He'd be playing Santa. He'd be playing this waddling baby.
I thought you're Colin Robinson, Kirk Cameron's head doubled on a little baby body.
Every role. Kirk's sister, played by just going nuts. It's the Kirk Cameron's insanity hour.
Okay.
But if it's just a minor change, Kirk's getting cast a bit more. I'm using him more just because it's his face, it's his name. He's a selling point, and yeah, I'd use him more as an actor in the loosest terms possibly.
I'm sold. That was what I was expecting. Hearing this was like a sort of like ego piece, and having his name all over it, I did expect to see a little bit more of him. And while I still had those expectations, I was squinting whenever we saw anyone with a big fake bushy beard, or like when we saw John Wick Santa, before you got the wide shot where you could see his physique when he was just like a grizzled face. I was like, is that Kirk Cameron under there?
Is it Kirk? Yeah.
But no. And you're right, that overcomes one of the most fundamental issues with this movie, is Kirk is so smug and preachy. Whereas if he was able to laugh at himself and to dress up as Santa, to dress up in drag, then like that just humanizes 100%. Him a little bit more and takes him off his high horse a little bit. So great call. That would make this film a million times better. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, because my answer is going to be immediately obvious, but do you think this was Razzie worthy?
Unfortunately, I agree. Yeah, it is. I mean, subjectively and objectively are two different things, but objectively this is a terrible, 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 terrible film. It's one of the worst we've ever seen. It's not the worst, but it's one of the worst. It's absolutely it warrants a nomination at the very least, and yeah, I can't argue against it.
Can you put Sophie on for a second? I want to speak to her in private. I think we might need to have an intervention. I'm a little bit concerned about you, Kyle.
It was fun. Again, it's not the right reasons. It's a fun film to watch with friends. I could have a laugh with someone watching this. I'd be miserable by myself.
I would hate it. If someone invites me around and is like, hey, do you want to watch a Christmas movie? I'd be like, great, what's it going to be? Die Hard, Gremlins, Tangerine. And then they put on Saving Christmas. That friendship is over, baby.
But which one? And there's two.
Both, of course. First one,
I will
then
say,
the other.
I can only... So, my last thing on that would be, I enjoyed this more than the 2017 Saving Christmas. despite the 2017 Christmas having wrestlers and fighting and weird stuff in it, and Ed Asner and all these bigger names, this was funnier, this was weirder.
There's no
shorter.
bigger name than the Lord. There's no bigger name than Jehovah.
So this isn't the worst Saving Christmas I've seen, but yeah, it warrants the veracity. It deserves everything it wins, to be honest.
I'm glad to hear you say that. There is hope, yeah.
Breaks my heart.
Okay, so running through the nominations for this film. One, Worst Picture, of course. Worst Director, Darren Duan was nominated. Kirk Cameron won for playing Kirk / himself.
Okay.
Which, as we've said, maybe not like a huge stretch of his acting abilities. This is the thing that we've kind of had before, where he is much more like he's convincing. Like, I believe him, I buy him. Every line sounds natural, and he's like an engaging human character. He's just utterly smug and repellent. He's not charismatic and engaging. He's like preachy, but that kind of is like the assignment. Is he's doing he's doing the job. So no one on screen would have made me as mad as him, I don't think. But hard one to appraise.
Yeah. I agree.
And then we have, somehow, Darren has escaped nomination for Worst Supporting Actor, which is just, like, I don't know.
That's outrageous. He's worse than Kirk, in my
opinion.
Kirk's smugness and everything aside, the director, Mr. Duane or whatever, is awful. Awful, awful. And the fact he hasn't even got nominated is really surprising. I thought he'd be getting 3 for 3 here, director, writer, and supporting actor. And film as well. I thought, he'd be kind of taking a haul home. That's very surprising.
All the things we said about Kirk being a seasoned pro and knowing how to like read a line and sort of like work the camera, all of those things that are true for Kirk are very much not true for Darren, who absolutely, like, at the very least, a nomination. And then Worst Supporting Actress, Bridget Cameron Ridenhour as Kirk's sister. Let's just speak about this for one moment, actually, because I forgot to mention it, where like Kirk says, like, listen, buddy, don't worry. We've all been there. We've all had our wavering moments of faith where we're thinking, like, oh, like, what's my wife gonna, like, am I gonna ruin things with my wife because of this crisis of faith? I was like, perfect. That is just speaking to the viewership of this film perfectly, which is male. Oh no, he's like, am I going to be able to satisfy my wife or something is like the question. It's like, we've all been there wondering.
Leaving my wife frustrated or something, I think it was.
Yeah, we're all going to be there.
I need to pipe up here a little bit though, because did she win or was she nominated? Sorry.
She was just nominated.
All right, because what was her name? Sorry?
Bridget Cameron Ridenhour.
So she is Kirk Cameron's real sister then, right?
No, the role just says Kirk's sister.
Right, no, hold on. I'm frantically Googling, so you're going to have to...
Well, I can fill time because that's what I was saying, is like, women are just such an afterthought in Saving Christmas that they don't even get their own names. They're just like, Kirk's sister, Christian's wife.
Yes, it is her real sister, is his real sister, but it's identifying her as well. That's what she's known for. That's her first thing she comes up as. This is Kirk Cameron's sister.
Yeah.
That surprised me if you didn't say that name out loud. I did not assume that was his real sister.
Oh, it didn't twig Cameron, the middle name.
Yeah, it didn't. I was just like, oh, like, no, like I just didn't click because they do not look remotely similar. Like, I know brother-sisters can look very different.
But no, he's very like photogenic. He has that sort of Neil Patrick Harris thing going on. He's like a regular height, and she is like 4 foot and like not particularly attractive.
She's just normal, I guess. But it's the fact is, obviously, when you're looking at his plugs and his plastic surgery and his tan and everything, and here's a normal human being that's just, she looks about 30 years older than him. I never would have guessed it was actual relation. But she didn't win, though, you said, sorry.
No, that was just a nomination.
Okay, very surprising.
And then we get on to, this is where it cleans up. Worst screen combo, Kirk Cameron and his ego in Saving Christmas.
Okay. I disagree because I hate, you know how much I hate these fake things. But yeah, I mean, you could have put Kirk Cameron and Darren Duane there, and that would have been a better combo.
Yeah, exactly. The occupants
Kirk
of
Cameron
Darren's car
and his
are
real life
Christian.
sister, you know, the Cameron siblings, like they would have done just fine for me. But I understand it.
And then we have the winner, worst screenplay, Saving Christmas, Darren Duane and Cheston Hervey. Okay, I'm gonna surprise myself here. I don't entirely know about this because, like, if you're setting yourself the task of writing a Christian Christmas movie that has to weave in all these things, I actually think it kind of did okay with what it was. It's an impossible task. Like ending in a big musical number isn't great, but just the structure of like we're gonna go through we're gonna have like a little like episode about Santa being a badass, and we're gonna have like this little thing. I don't know. I think the screenplay was maybe one of the better things. It just struggled from having like an insufferable like.
I'm very surprised there's two writers. Because I didn't think there was a screenplay. I felt this was very loose.
Yeah.
You've seen this one at the end with like the gag reel. There is just a lot of like, let's just fuck about. Let's just ad lib some jokes and like the coffee scene we were talking about. And none of that was in a script. I'm pretty sure that was just sprout shit. You know, like you've done to me. Just sprout things. Just say this stuff, and we'll use the best take. I think the only parts that might have been scripted, obviously, were the Kirk Cameron stories, but they were somewhere else with maybe a different director or someone else was doing them. Kirk was nowhere near them. So I'm surprised there's two writers because it just didn't feel like there was anything, you know.
Worst adapted screenplay, Darren Duane, based on the Old Testament.
Yeah, the novel. Well, that is one I've read for a change. But yeah, it deserves every award, to be honest. I can't really argue it taking every single Razzie home.
Yeah.
But I still liked it. So join us when we return, and we will go through the rest of the nominees and winners from the 35th Golden Raspberry Awards in 2014. See you soon.
Welcome
Hello.
back to the second half of Watching Worst Films, where we will be going over the other Razzie winners for the year of 2014. Yeah. So the losing losers from Worst Picture, we had Transformers: Age of Extinction.
Remind me again which one that is. Have I seen it? What number is it?
Dinosaurs, Marky Mark's first one. So I think it's 4 maybe.
Yeah, so I've got no comment. I've only seen 1 and 3, I think.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, so all we can really do is shout out Mr. Razzie for spreading the love and for not making us watch another Transformers film, because that would have been rough.
That would have been worse. That would have been much worse. I mean, it would have been a better movie, I guess, but I would have... No. Thank you very much.
And then from one Michael Bay production to another, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Have you seen that?
Is that live action or the 3D one?
It's live action.
No, I have not. I've seen the 3D reboot one, I think was in the early 2010s, 2000s, okay. I can't remember. But no, I haven't seen this one. Again, this isn't 1994, so I'm going to be quite rough here.
I also haven't seen it. You know me, I'm a sucker for the Ninja Turtles. But I don't like how they look in that one. They don't look like fun teens that I'd want to hang out with, which seems weird to say as a 30-year-old man. But like when I was a child, that was like you wanted to be friends with the turtles. Whereas these ones seem like jerks. Not relatable. No interest. And then we have The Legend of Hercules.
Okay, so, is this the Rock one or the
No, this is Kellen Lutz.
Yeah. Okay. No, I haven't seen this. I actually haven't seen either, so I don't know why I said that. But no, I only know one of them had The Rock and one of them was directed by Rennie Harlin, and that's it. That's all I know.
And then we have Left Behind.
Oh, which is nice. Which is a nice little bit of coincidence,
Symmetry.
isn't it? Yeah, nice symmetry. I have seen the original first Left Behind with Kirk Cameron. I haven't seen any of the sequels, and I've not seen this is a Nicolas Cage one, I think.
This is the Nicolas Cage one.
This is the Nicolas Cage one. Yeah, I haven't seen this one. But I like the symmetry.
An extremely weird cast. It has Chad Michael Murray, Leah Thompson, Jordan Sparks, and Nicolas Cage. And another piece of trivia, everything comes full circle. Apparently, a sequel to this Left Behind is in production and is meant to be out this year, starring Mr. Kevin Sorbo.
Oh, yeah. I was semi hoping you were going to say the return of Kirk, but I'll take a Kevin. I'll take a Kevin.
So is this the first time where we've only seen the winner?
Yeah, I think so. Between the two of us, anyway.
Yeah, we can normally rack up at least one.
Yeah.
Well, worst director. Okay, Seth MacFarlane for A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Okay, so I have seen this one. Have you seen it?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. I hate it. Right, for the record, I only watched this film before Jamie Foxx's Django. Because I
forgot you told me. Yeah.
Technically it turns it into a Django film. So I was like, okay, I'll watch it. I've got to see this. And I didn't know his cameo was right at the fucking end. So I had to watch the whole thing. I had to watch Sarah Silverman as the prostitute that's saving herself for marriage. I had to go through Christopher Lloyd's cameo. I had to go through all this shit to get to what I wanted to see. However, I don't think it was the worst directed film I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So as much as I'm not a Seth MacFarlane fan in any way, I don't think he's the worst director. I don't think this film is worst director.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was in full favour of it, but you've kind of talked me around effortlessly. I really don't like Seth MacFarlane, but I think this was a competent execution of just a style of comedy I don't care for.
Absolutely. Worst screenplay, 100%, but direction, no.
Yeah. Then we have Jonathan Liebsman for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, not seen. Rennie Harlin for The Legend of Hercules.
I mean, Rennie Harlin directed Die Hard 2 and Cliffhanger, so he can do no wrong in my eyes. So yeah, I'm glad he didn't win.
Darren Duane for Saving Christmas. So he's very lucky to escape a win. And I'm just going to say there's some symmetry with my man John Asher. John Asher has kind of become the in-house director for Sum 41, whereas Darren Duane apparently got his start directing Blink-182 music videos.
Oh, okay. Well, see, that does all come together. And
not behaviour befitting a good Christian man, I would say.
It's before he found Kirk Cameron / Jesus in his life. I imagine this is earlier Blink than 2014 Blink. So if he does a John Asher and then goes back to doing Blink-182, or if Blink-182 are in one of his films shoehorned in, then the symmetry is more complete.
What if he tries to make Blink-182 Christian?
Then you take my money right now. That's the one I want to see.
And then the winner, Michael Bay for Transformers: Age of Extinction, which maybe you can remind me, is this his second Razzie, or at least second? He won for
the other Transformers, I can't imagine it being worse than Darren Duane. I know it's going to be awful, and I would hate Transformers. But again, if you're actually going for direction, as we've seen, I mean, Michael Bay can at least have some sort of knowledge of directing from the post-credit scenes and stuff from Saving Christmas. Darren Duane doesn't. I'm surprised he didn't win this.
It's kind of the Seth MacFarlane thing. As much as I may not like what Michael Bay is doing, he knows he's doing it. Like, he's going for that sensory overload barrage of, again, since Ambulance, I've kind of done a 180 on Michael Bay, where I'm like, yeah, you know what? He's doing his thing, so good for him. But I think Michael Bay could direct Saving Christmas, but Darren Duane couldn't direct Age of Extinction.
100%.
Worst actor, Adam Sandman Sandler in Blended as Jim Friedman. Have you seen Blended?
So we're in my dark ages of Sandman.
The Netflix years.
But yeah, basically. This is the spiritual sequel to 50 First Dates, isn't it? Reuniting
This is one of his
Barrymore ones, so yeah, no interest. You could see this is the problem when there were so many of these time. I think another one with Go With It. I think that's Jennifer Aniston. Must be around this time as well.
Yeah, I always got those two confused. Yeah,
exactly. That's like you could show me a clip from either of those films, and I wouldn't be able to tell them apart probably.
Yeah. I put off watching Blended because I think I thought of it as more of a just go with it, where Sandman's kind of reined in, whereas it is a Happy Madison production, and it has more of that sort of like goofy Sandman-esque sensibility that we know and love.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably better than his goofing around with the bros ones. Like, I like it more than I like Ridiculous Six and Grown Ups and so on. It's also Lauren Lapkus of Wrong Missy fame. It's her entry into the Sandiverse, and like it has one of the weirdest scenes I've seen. This is the one where Bella Thorne plays Adam Sandler's daughter, and there's a scene where she's stuffing her bra with shoe insoles, and Adam Sandler opens the door while she's doing it, and she takes them out and throws them onto the mirror, where they stick on the mirror, and she screams, and Sandler sees them and screams, and the way they're framed in the shot, it's a bit like the Tom Cruise peanut butter thing, but from War of the Worlds. But it's just like the cut to these inserts sticking to the mirror. It's so weird. It's almost like they're on like a string or something. They just get magnetically pulled. It's such a weird piece of direction. It's like you're watching Plan 9 or something, where I'm like, oh, this isn't good. And I just want to say, my man John Asher, he would have nailed that. He would have nailed it.
Since it was a Happy Madison production, was there any SNL hangers on? Any of his crew? Anybody pop up, or is this beyond that time period?
You'll need to bring up the cast list, because I wouldn't be able to tell you. Right. None of the heavy hitters are there. Like Spade's not there. Like Schneider's not there. Like Chris Parnell's not there. Yeah. There are definitely lots of familiar faces, but
okay. So I've just looked up. This is just for my personal interest, I guess. Just the hangers on. The only SNL alumni is Kevin Nealon.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's it.
And then we have Seth MacFarlane in A Million Ways to Die in the West as Albert Stark. This I won't argue with. He's not of good screen presence.
He is not a leading man in the very fucking least. He's he's not got good. He's too similar to real Seth MacFarlane. He's
too
not
smug
very
and
good.
Self-aware.
That's it. He's too self-aware. He's too close to himself, existing in a movie. Almost fourth wall breaking.
Like he's a great voice actor.
Good singer. He's not,
I don't know. Maybe someone could get him a good dramatic performance out of him as like a character 100%. Actor, but as a comedy leading man, he's too wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah. It's it reminds me of the Jimmy Fallon's run. His short Hollywood. Yeah. It's just you are not you do other things. Seth MacFarlane be a wonderful talk show host. He's great at every other things. Even though I don't like him, he is talented. He is not a leading man though. Like, that's fair.
Then we have Kelland Lutz in The Legend of Hercules as Hercules Alcides. No thoughts.
No.
Nicolas Cage in Left Behind as Rayford Steele. And then, of course, the winner, our beloved Kirk Cameron in Saving Christmas.
Well deserved.
Moving on to Worst Actress, we have Gaia Weiss in The Legend of Hercules as Hebe. Charlize Theron in A Million Ways to Die in the West as Anna Barnes Leatherwood.
I didn't hate her in it, if I'm going to be honest.
No.
I actually, again, it's like the direction, and probably Theron are the two that I would let off with. I think she's having fun as well, which is nice. No, I actually really don't mind her in this film. I think she's one of the bright sparks. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
she shouldn't be here.
Slim pickings at the Razzies this year. I feel like if she's
100%.
getting nominees, like you getting nominations, like you said, I respect her for taking it. I don't like the film, and I don't like Seth MacFarlane.
100%, yeah.
you couldn't see a lot of actresses doing that, but what I like about Charlize Theron is she will do things like this in the long shot. She will kind of do comedies and be very good in them generally.
Yeah, she is. Again, yeah, definitely. Doesn't deserve to be here.
Melissa McCarthy in Tammy as Tammy Banks.
So I'm not a McCarthy fan. I think you know that, but I don't know if I've made it vocal on the podcast. But I have not seen Tammy, and so I don't really have a comment.
I haven't seen Tammy either. This was in that sort of like immediate post-Bridesmaids years where I like her in Can You Ever Forgive Me, and I like her in St. Jude, and
I
think she has I think she's a good actor, but I was very uninterested in just seeing her play I'm a fat lady who's lewd. Yeah. I was uninterested in the female Zach Galifianakis.
Nothing against her at all. As an actual actor, she's in good stuff. She seems like a really lovable, nice person too. But her leading role films, which is, she's got that one with Sandra Bullock and stuff as well around this time.
The Heat, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. There's this oversaturation, and none of them are funny. And it's just that way, like you say, it's the wave of Bridesmaids. Kind of carrying her over.
And then we have Drew Barrymore in Blended. So I didn't really say, I don't think Sandman is deserving of a nomination for Blended. I don't think Drew is as good as him in this. But she's maybe deserving. It's probably just because Sandman's lows are so low that I'm like, this isn't the worst I've ever seen him be. Therefore, he's not deserving. Whereas,
I'm a fan of Drew Barrymore. I like her in things. I don't think she's good in 50 First Dates. So I'm imagining 50 First Dates 15 years later. I can't imagine it being any better. Her performance, I just expect it to be a phoned in Drew Barrymore on holiday.
Yeah, that it is. Yeah. And the winner, Cameron Diaz in The Other Woman and Sex Tape as Carly Whitten and Annie Hargrove. Have you seen either of those?
No, no, I haven't. Have you?
So, The Other Woman, I saw the trailer for that 1,000,001 times. I feel like I must have been going to Cineworld a lot, but I just remember seeing the trailer. So that's the one with Jamie Lannister, Kate Upton, and I want to say, is it Leslie Mann who's the other woman, or Judd Apatow's wife?
Yeah.
Is Leslie Mann Judd Apatow's wife?
Yeah.
So anyway, I've seen the trailer and that looks like a truly horrendous movie. Sex Tape isn't good. Sex Tape is so cringe. I don't want to say she's Bad Teacher probably came out round about this time period.
Yeah.
And she stunk to high heaven in Bad Teacher.
Yeah, that's what.
Whereas Sex Tape, I think she's not quite as bad, but she's certainly good.
I was gonna ask that because this is the second Diaz Jason Segel partnership. I did see Bad Teacher. I actually went to see that in the cinema, and I don't know why. I can't remember why, but Cameron Diaz and that shocked me. I mean, it's going off topic, but this is the first time I noticed sort of her change in face as well. And I was just terrified, if I'm being honest. She couldn't emote because she couldn't emote. Like it was strange. I can't imagine she was any better in this. I like her too. I'm not having a go. It's just.
You're just having a go at women for aging, aren't you, Kyle?
No, just don't inject yourself. Pia Zadora it, do it right.
Okay, moving on. Worst supporting actor. Kiefer Sutherland in Pompeii as Senator Quintus Attius Corvus.
No, I haven't seen Pompeii, have you?
No. Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Expendables 3 as Trench Mauser. No, how on earth does Stallone escape nomination and yet Arnie gets no? No. I'm not having that.
Have you seen Expendables 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, because I have as well. I mean, obviously, I fucking have. I think there is much, because obviously it's such a big ensemble. Arnie is barely in it enough.
Yeah. Well, no, hang on. I think I can't quite remember. I felt like 2 he was hardly in.
2's, yeah, but you're still he has got a bigger role in 3. Yeah, 2's in it for a cameo, but you're still, it's still Stallone, Statham, Lundgren. Who else is in this one? Terry Crews. I can't remember the rest of the people off the top of my head, But there is worse people in here than Arnie, and just I've quickly got it up here.
Stallone for a start.
Well, he's a lead. He wouldn't be supporting. My worst supporting, I forgot he was in it, is Robert Davi, director of My Son Hunter.
Is he in it?
He's one of the main villains in it. He's awful. I know it's not worst supporting actor, but like Randy Couture, the MMA fighter, just like Ronda Rousey, like the MMA fighters are really bad in it. And even looking up here, I remember Harrison Ford doesn't give a fuck here. And his cameo.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So like,
I'd forgotten he was in it, and that was a real dark moment for me.
That
Where
was
like, who realized that a movie with Arnie and Harrison Ford could leave me feeling as empty as this did?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I would love to be able to laugh at you and 1-0 Stallone it a little bit, or 1-3 at Stallone. But no,
Come on.
This is bad. This is a weird dunk from Mr. Razzie. And yeah, no, doesn't deserve it.
Now that you've mentioned Harrison Ford being in this, it's kind of coming back, and it's kind of coming back. And I remember like this almost missed out for more nominations, like Best Picture, Worst Picture, rather, I would say. Because I remember 1 was whatever, 2 was like a little bit of like, like I think I enjoyed 2 more because Arnie's in it a tiny bit.
No, well, like, so I agree with you. I would not, I don't want to throw Stallone under anything. 3 should be nominated. Fun. The first one is good fun just for the novelty and 80s action hero getting together. Yeah. It's silly, it's got some good fun in it. The second one I really enjoy. It's the one with Jean-Claude Van Damme as the villain.
Exactly,
and it turns everything up. It's got more cameos, Arnie coming in for enough wink and nod, hanging out with Stallone.
Yeah.
Everything was like perfectly balanced. The third one is when that tips over and we get into this fucking ridiculous, stupid. Yeah, I don't like 3 at all, and I'm very surprised it's not popped up more in this nom, especially when there's such slim pickings. You know. Yeah, it surprises me.
Absolutely. Then we have Shaquille O'Neal in Blended as Doug. So Shaquille O'Neal isn't bad in Blended. I think it's just the fact that he is Shaquille O'Neal, which attracts attention.
Well, yeah, you're not. He's because Shaq's obviously he's a very charismatic man. He's got he's very likable, and you can use him very effective. He's not an actor, of course. He's not. He's fucking Shaquille O'Neal.
But Sandler gives him like wild stuff to do, and he's having fun because he's clearly just loving hanging out with like basketball player.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a weird one for me.
Yeah, particularly when you have Terry Crews in Blended, and I think Terry Crews is actually bad. And there are a bunch of other like sort of Sandler entourage, not any of the big hitters like Nick Swardson, like people who are like, oh, I recognize their face, and they're kind of actively bad. Whereas Shaq's fun. I like Shaq.
That's exactly it. And you just brought up there, Terry Crews was in Blended and Expendables 3, so you could have double nominated him as well, you know.
True.
And no one would have probably argued it was undeserved. So
no.
Yeah, agreed.
And then we have Mel Gibson in The Expendables 3 as Conrad Stonebanks, Victor Menz.
Yeah, I disagree. I think Mel's not what I'd be. I think these are poor choices. If you're going through Expendables 3, there's such a big cast. There's so many supporting people you could pick. Mel has fun, and I get it. I do understand it. It's not a good performance, but I don't know. I think it's a bit harsh.
I agree. Just looking at the performance, it isn't bad. You just have to factor in that he's being bogged down with being an anti-Semite and a like abusive partner. That the moral weight around his neck is what is dragging him down into Razzie nomination, I think.
And he deserves a Razzie. He deserves a Razzie for least morals, but that's not category this year. So no, he doesn't deserve it.
And then winner. Worst supporting actor goes to Kelsey Grammer, Big Breath, in The Expendables 3, Legends of Oz, Doris's Return, Think Like a Man 2, and Transformers Age of Extinction as Bonaparte, Tin Man, Lee Fox, and Harold Attinger.
Jesus.
Which, this is really just man in most amount of films, I think.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm already getting suspicious because, Legends of Oz, Dorothy's Return, I've not even heard about. and it's not nominated anywhere else. So this is obviously just a double down on Kelsey. It's a voice performance as well, you said, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, get a grip of yourself. And yeah, like, no, I I haven't seen Transformers Age of Extinction. Maybe he's awful and that, but the fact Kelsey swept all these awards and Darren Duane's not even been nominated, this is a very wrong category.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to say one thing for you, which is that Belushi is in Legends of Oz. At first I thought that Kelsey Grammer is probably a voice in Transformers: Age of Extinction, but Harold Attinger sounds like a human name, so I guess he was a person. So I've only actually seen one of those, and he doesn't stick in the memory for Expendables. So
no,
yeah,
doesn't.
it's just how dare this man have the temerity to collect 4 paychecks over 1 year. And then moving on to Worst Supporting Actress, we have Susan Sarandon in Tammy as Pearl Balzan. Well, I haven't seen Tammy, but I'm going to stand up for Susan Sarandon just because she is a Bernie Bruette. And is she ever really that bad? She just turns up and does Susan Sarandon.
Yeah.
She's probably fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we have Kirk Cameron's sister as Kirk Cameron's sister, Nicola Peltz in Transformers: Age of Extinction as Tessa Yeager, Cameron Diaz in Annie as Colleen Hannigan. So Annie was this year. This was her retirement from acting year. Wow.
Okay. I mean, she's sweeping it up this year, isn't she? Yeah, no, I haven't seen Annie. Not the new one anyway, and no need to.
My favorite thing about Annie was that so Annie apparently started life as a vehicle for Will Smith's kid, because he, by that point he had his like ambitions on like, it's not enough for me to be like an insufferable Hollywood megastar. I need to make my kids into insufferable Hollywood megastars. And so his way of doing that was to make remakes of classic Hollywood films. So that's why we got The Karate Kid as a Jaden Smith vehicle.
Yeah.
And then he got the rights to Annie and was launching that as a vehicle for Willow Smith. And then at some point in pre-production, Willow Smith was like, you know what? I don't think I really want to do this. And so the wheels were in motion, and the studio was then like, crap, we have Annie built around a little black girl and no little black girl who wants to be in it. What are we going to do? And they scrambled, and thankfully for them, this was just around about the time that Beasts of the Southern Wild had come out.
Oh, yeah.
So they had Academy Award nominee Kovenzune Wallace, which, I don't know, I feel like this was the one time in Hollywood history when there were 2 black girls under the age of 10 who could, in theory, lead an Annie remake. But they struck it lucky, and that's the only thing I know about the Annie remake. Then we have the winner, Megan Fox, for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as April O'Neil.
Well, yeah, at this point, if she's not in the Transformers, she's going to win, for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. At this point, Razzies are going to pick her no matter what. I don't know if it's any worse. It could be the worst performance ever. I don't think it's worse than Kirk Cameron's sister. It's Kirk Cameron's sister.
I would very much doubt it. We've seen what Megan's capable of in Transformers, and I imagine she's probably doing a very similar thing. I think nerds got annoyed because she wasn't ginger, or she wasn't like their fantasy of April O'Neil.
Yeah, well, they can. The turtles aren't real either. Like, fuck off. No, fuck off. I'm okay with that. I'm like, get a grip.
Worst screen combo: Seth MacFarlane and Charlize Theron in A Million Ways to Die in the West. And
this is quite recently I've seen this film. They don't have the greatest chemistry at all.
No.
But they're not the worst screen combo.
No.
Not at all. Like, yeah, that's a strange one. Again, I don't think Charlize should be nominated for anything for this film. So, yeah, no.
Kellen Lutz and either his abs, his pecs, or his glutes in The Legend of Hercules. Really don't want to give that one the time of day, because it's just...
No, it's a fake...
Muscle man has muscles.
Yeah.
You've nominated him for actor, that's enough. Cameron Diaz and Jason Segel in Sex Tape. Ding, ding, ding. They're actually, they're actually bad.
Yeah, because again, I can only judge that from Bad Teacher. They have no chemistry in that. No. There's no way. Unless they developed it in the year between. No way.
Any two robots, actors, or robotic actors in Transformers: Age of Extinction. I mean, I'm sure that's basically the same. Like, it's a slightly funnier wording with the robotic actors, but I'm pretty sure he did the exact same thing
he
in
did.
2009. It wasn't funny then, and it still isn't funny now. And then worst screen combo, Kirk Cameron and his ego in Saving Christmas. As he said, Kirk Cameron and Christian, much better candidate. Christian and his wife. The
Kirk and his sister, like the list goes on.
Christmas and the Christ which has been removed from it. Trees and crucifixes. That would have been a better title than Saving Christmas, actually. Worst remake, ripoff, or sequel. Transformers: Age of Extinction, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Legend of Hercules. Interesting one here, Atlas Shrugged Part 3, Who is John Galt? Which,
is this a actual
if memory
Part 3?
serves, yeah, if memory serves, I think this was a big conservative production.
Well, the first one was,
obviously,
wasn't it?
obviously anyone who makes an adaptation of Atlas Shrugged is probably going to be somewhat conservative. But I'm sure this was like Shapiro or like Bill O'Reilly or like someone was involved with this.
Yeah.
And for it to escape, I guess this was pre-2016, so Mr. Razzie perhaps hadn't realised that his awards ceremony for bad movies needs to be a political platform. But I feel like in later years that would have picked up a lot more nominations.
I am so surprised this is not picked up at all. It's obviously because he hasn't watched it and he's just saying it, so you can't comment on it. But like, it's only in this category because it's the third one, and the first two I think it's got a different cast as well. I totally forgot that there was 3 of these. I for some reason forgot they made a full trilogy. This would have been worse than Expendables 3, Blended, Transformers. Like, I'm very surprised this isn't here.
And then, unfortunately, I have blown my only anecdote when it would fit much better here, but I have nothing else to say other than Annie has won. And then we have worst screenplay. So here we go. Transformers: Age of Extinction, screenplay by Erin Kruger, based on Hasbro's Transformer toys. Slightly surprised that there's only one writer for that.
Very surprised.
And your beloved Kurtchi and your beloved Archie and Kurtzman, they're out of the picture by this point. They've got designs on ruining Star Trek and breaking Kyle's heart.
Yeah.
Now, this is more like it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a screenplay by Josh Applebaum, Andre Nemec, and Evan Docherty, based on the characters created by Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman. Sex Tape, screenplay by Kate Angelo, Jason Segel, and Nicholas Stoller, story by Kate Angelo. Yeah, just like, if your movie depends on the cloud and things being uploaded to the cloud, and also you buying all of your friends and family iPads so that your sex tape gets delivered to it. No, there's just such a terrible starting point. How do you redeem that movie? No, that's entirely deserved. Left Behind, screenplay by Paul Lalonde, and John Pattis, based on the novel by Tim LaHaye and Jerry B. Jenkins. And then, of course, Saving Christmas, written by Darren Duan and Cheston Hervey. Said all that remains to be said.
We sure have. And is that us?
Well, we're missing original song once again.
Oh, yeah, of course.
This was a year in which there could have been an actual original song, because Blended has a title song, Blended, sung by Terry Crews, where he's like, "Oh, they're blending." Like he serenades Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler with their blending.
Terry Crews nomination. We've got the rap from the end of Saving Christmas.
True.
Yeah, this could have been a good year for worst original song. Every year's a good year for worst original song.
But instead, we have the Razzie Redeemer Award.
Okay.
So, Kristen Stewart from Razzie winner for Twilight to the art house hit Camp X-Ray. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Kristen Stewart is great, and I don't think Twilight is the exception to her career rather than the norm.
Yeah. It is at this point now, yeah. Maybe in 2014 it wasn't quite there yet.
Even then, like Panic Room and like I don't know. I think she like the only things. Snow White and the Huntsman maybe.
Yeah,
I almost
that's
think Snow
something.
White and the Huntsman is worse than Twilight, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Keanu Reeves from 6-time Razzie nominee to critical hit John Wick.
I will say, if you're only a Razzie nominee, you can't really be redeemed.
Yeah,
I think you need to be winners.
Yeah, I would agree. The beginning of the Keanu redemption arc here with John Wick and us all
Of course,
mad about Keanu. And here you go. Mike Myers from Razzie winner for The Love Guru to documentary director of Supermensch, The Legend of Shep Gordon.
Gordon, yeah.
I don't really agree with this because, like, while he's more valid in terms of he hit a proper Razzie low of winning one and also being, like, the creative voice behind the entirety of The Love Guru, directing a documentary isn't enough to redeem you. That's just, like, a completely different thing.
Yeah, and, like... It's one of these weird things that, again, I would expect multiple winners, or the Stallone redemption one made sense for Creed, but
yeah,
I mean, the Love Guru is a low point in Mike Myers, but it's not like he's got 6 Love Gurus. It's not like he's winning year in year out. It's a film that literally ended his fucking career. So I don't know. I don't think I agree with you. I don't think a documentary pulls you out of it. I don't think he necessarily needed to be redeemed at this point. I don't think he has the same kind of stink on him that like Eddie Murphy did, for example, or even The Sandman had more of a stink on him from like 2006 to 2016. I disagree with this one.
Jennifer Aniston from 4-time Razzie nominee to Golden Globe, SAG, and Critics' Choice Award nominee for Cake. Okay, here's my controversial opinion. Cake's not that good. Everyone went wild about Cake at the time, and Cake kind of seems like a parody. Like, I think because everyone was just so starved of so hungry for comeback narratives, The Reconnaissance, and just like, hey, who'd have thunk it? Here's Vince Vaughn and True Detective season 2. Cake to me just seemed like a parody version of that, where she's doing a dramatic role and it's something that we haven't exactly seen from her and wouldn't necessarily associate with her, but it's just very average. It's not amazing enough to deserve this kind of
I've never even heard of it. No Kirk Cameron in it, so what's in it for me? Yeah, no, I have no idea. I also would say I agree with you on the fact that she's never followed it up with anything after it. It's like you can't just slightly redeem yourself. You'd have to, consistent, like Keanu Reeves it. You have to Christian, Reeves and Christian Stewart makes sense, and I agree with them. But you can't just have one little. No, I disagree.
And then the winner goes to Ben Affleck from Razzie winner for Gigli to Oscar darling for Argo and Gone Girl. Argo, fuck yourself, Mr. Razzie. Yeah, I don't know. I guess. It should redeem him for his friendship with Kevin Smith. That's what he really needs redemption for. But I don't know. How do you feel about this?
So I've seen both of them. Gone Girl not being one of my highest like Fincher films either. I don't know. I don't think he was redeemed in my eyes. I didn't look at him any differently. I've always looked at Ben Affleck the same way. I think also post this time, 2014. The slide's going to continue back. I don't know. I don't think it's the same as Stallone doing Creed or something like that. Like, and then carrying on with a little redemption arc. This is just no. I don't think he was redeemed. Batman's too close to me. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, so Ben Affleck's a tough one, and it's maybe best summarized by himself. Which Ben Affleck, he's been in stinkers and he's done very good things, but it's not as if they've been like too sort of intermingled for me. Well, they have been intermingled. Like, he hasn't had like a bad phase where he's necessarily needed redemption, I don't think. And so he summarizes this best with his back tattoo with the phoenix rising from the ashes, where he was like, you know what, like, I was like, in the 2000s, everyone hated me, and I was an alcoholic, and I was a daredevil, which stunk. Whereas now, look at me. I've got divorced from my wife and I'm Batman and things are great. And he's ignoring a key part of the Phoenix mythos is, yeah, it rises from the ashes, but then it also returns to the ashes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of Ben Affleck is like, yeah, you're on a high now with Gone Girl and Argo, but in a few years you're going to be sucked into the Snyderverse, so don't get too cocky, my friend, because it's only downhill from here.
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree with that. I also, like, that's what I was trying to say with that. I don't know, sometimes the problem with Affleck for me is if it's the film choices he's in, because I don't give a fuck about Pearl Harbor. I don't give a fuck about his Batman. I don't give a fuck about half this is Kevin Smith stuff as well for the most part. So yeah, there is the odd film like Argo and things, and I understand it, but I just maybe I'm not sure if I'm his biggest fan in general, and it could just be the choices of the films. Might not be. I'm not sure, but I agree with you. I don't think he's deserving of this award.
And that concludes another episode of Watching Worse Films as we wave goodbye to 2014 and the cinematic horrors within. If you enjoyed this episode, then please leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice, help more people find the show. You can find us at Watching Worst on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, etc. If you want to email us, you can reach us at watchingworsefilms@gmail.com. Join us next time when we'll be heading to 1987 with the Bill Cosby classic, Leonard Part 6. And in the meantime, all it really remains to be said is that we hope you enjoyed this Christmas special. And when that special morning comes and you are gathered round the fireplace with all of your nearest and dearest, I hope you take a moment to think of our Lord and Saviour, Kirk Cameron, and to remember what's really important, knowing that you aren't being crucified right now. So,
Amen.
Have a great Christmas from Watching Worse Films. Buy each other tons of crap. That's what Kirk Cameron would have wanted. And we'll see you next time for Leonard Part 6.
See you next time, everybody. Have a Merry Christmas.